Nancy Pelosi, remember her? Who can forget? Well, she's been yapping away. She's been yapping away and saying the same mindless, incoherent things that she's always said. Hat tip Fox Nation. Cut 4, go.
Imagine that they are protecting tax cuts for the top 2%.
Let's start over. Listen to the way she talks. It's like she's telling you an unbelievable secret. And listen to how she embraces the class warfare communist manifesto talking points. Her husband's worth about $30 to $40 million. They have a winery in the Napa Valley, and by the way, non-union. And they own all kinds of real estate. And they're worth tens of millions of dollars. And there she is, with her class warfare rhetoric. Let's listen in. Cut 4, go.
Imagine that they are protecting tax cuts for the top 2%. It's really higher than that, lower than that. I mean, a higher percentage of people excluded from who they're looking out for.
What?
It's a stunning thing, because it's a few people amassing money that doesn't really make a difference in their quality of life.
Stop. All right, step back. The vast majority of you are not millionaires or billionaires. Okay, step back and listen to this. Forget about the money for a second. Let's just talk briefly about the role of government. Since when is it the business of people we elect to Congress to hold office for a period of time to decide who needs what? To decide. You see, it's no longer that they should, quote unquote, pay their fair share. It's no longer that we have poor people, quote unquote, who need help. Now it's gone beyond that. The question is whether the person who legitimately earns the money, let's say they invent the greatest thing on the face of the earth, a much-needed drug, a much-needed product, whatever. Obviously, the people want it because the people are voluntarily purchasing it. Now she's saying it's not enough to fund the legitimate activities of government. It's not even enough to fund the illegitimate activities of government. Now the question is, according to Pelosi, whether or not you keeping more money actually makes a difference in the quality of your life. Now that's the new test. That the politicians who we elect in what is supposed to be a representative government now get to decide if the quality of life that you have is the quality of life you ought to have, regardless of how much money they claim the government needs, regardless of how much money they claim they want to give to the poor. Now it's a question of whether or not you get to live your life as you wish to live it, even after you pay your taxes. You have to listen very carefully to these people because they're insane, and yet they control the levers of power. Now let's roll that back and listen again. Cut 4. Go.
Imagine that they are protecting tax cuts for the top 2%. It's really higher than that, lower than that. I mean, a higher percentage of people excluded from who they're looking out for. And it's a stunning thing, because it's a few people amassing money that doesn't really make a difference in their quality of life. I decided what it was about them is this. This is my theory. What more do they want? They have, homes, bigger the yacht, the taller the mast, the whole thing. They have museum quality art. Then I decided, if in fact they are advocating for this, which I'm not sure they are, I think the Republicans just like to have that position, they want immortality. They want so much money that their names are, for prestige they could never get any other way. they could buy with endless money. Because what else could you possibly want that you would say, I'm going to this at the expense of the middle class, of our democracy, of fairness, of clean air, clean water, food safety, public education, and the rest of it.
This is where we are, folks, in the gutter. With every two-bit dictatorship, every third world managed economy. I've often posed the question, where do they want to take us? Now you know where they want to take us. This isn't about taking the millionaire and billionaire's money. This is about deciding how you, the people, will live your lives. This is about deciding what kind of health care you'll have. You don't get to decide. She wants to decide. What kind of car you should have, how many cars you should have. You think I'm wrong? Well, go look at your light bulbs. Look at your shower heads and your toilets. Those were designed by Nancy Pelosi and members of Congress. And it's going to get much, much worse before it gets better. She wants to be able to decide the size of your yacht. Well, most of us don't have yachts. Okay. But you have a car, don't you? And they are deciding the size of your car, aren't they? She wants to be able to decide how big your home is. What kind of art you can have, museum quality or otherwise. Ladies and gentlemen, this isn't America. This isn't the way Americans think. This isn't the way they live. This is not our history. This is not our tradition. Who are these people? Once again, I just want to underscore the point. She's not arguing. Pay your fair share, quote unquote. Get skin in the game, quote unquote. She's not arguing. She's not arguing about the poor. She's arguing about the right that she and other officials supposedly have, they've seized for themselves, to determine what quality of life you will have. That's what she's arguing. And then, if you work hard, and let's say you become rich, or whatever that term means anymore, because now millionaires and billionaires are people who earn $200,000 a year. Tomorrow it'll be people who earn $85,000 a year. It'll be whatever they need. They're politically expedient and expedient in every other respect. Look at the comparison they make. If you work hard and get to keep 60% of what you earn, because that's what we're talking about, whether you get to keep 60, 55% of what you earn when you're done paying federal, state, and local taxes. Well, if you don't give up more, then you're threatening our democracy, she says. The middle class, clean air, clean water, food safety, public education, and, quote, the rest of it. In other words, ladies and gentlemen, in this one clip, Nancy Pelosi has said it all and has demonstrated once and for all who they are and what they believe. They believe that you do not belong to yourself. They don't believe in such a thing as individual sovereignty. They believe you belong to them. You are their indentured servant. They just throw around phrases like clean air and fairness and democracy and so forth. But none of that matters. What matters is your complete and utter capitulation to their demands. You heard it here. You heard her say it. That's what she said, and that's what she meant. Circling back, Nancy Pelosi and her husband, they are multimillionaire investors. They own a large stake in an exclusive resort hotel in wine country Napa Valley, which has more than 250 employees, none of whom are unionized, according to Peter Schweizer. She and her husband are also partners in a restaurant chain called Piatti, which has 900 employees. The chain is a non-union shop. It's a very high-end restaurant group with locations in Carmel, Sonoma, Danville, just to name a few. hardwood-fired ovens, exhibition kitchens, Napa wines, and on, and other big-time investments, too. I'm not opposed to them having lots of money and lots of investments, but it seems to me if she can decide how we are to live, why can't we decide how she lives? Why does Nancy Pelosi need a winery? So why don't we take it away? Tax it, regulate it, nationalize it. Why does she need all these fancy kitchens and these really cool ovens to cook pizzas and so forth? She can do without. Why don't we take those away? Why don't we have some quick votes, too? Those 900 employees who are not unionized and the 250 at the, well, in Sonoma at the resort, or rather, Napa Valley at the resort. Where are the union organizers? Why aren't they picketing the Pelosi properties and investments? Interesting, isn't it? She and hubby are worth tens of millions of dollars. And to quote Nancy Pelosi, or paraphrase, how much is enough? Now, Nancy Pelosi wants to increase taxes on people who earn $200,000 a year. She's worth about $50, $60, $70 million. She believes that it should be easier to unionize these different businesses, so why doesn't she just offer to unionize her businesses? Oh, I could go on, but I think I'm out of time. Ladies and gentlemen, we salute our armed forces, police officers, firefighters, and emergency personnel. We shall overcome, and I'll see you tomorrow. This is Mark Levin.